By the way, how was the audio with this? Everything fine? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Musabni. And thank you everyone for coming in, and all the people who are online. Thank you for joining in. So I'm Azlan Zahid. I'm an assistant professor at AgriLife Research at Dallas Center. So I just joined a few months ago. So my today's presentation is more about my research vision for this controlled environment agriculture program at Dallas Center. So my today's presentation is about automation and artificial intelligence for the controlled environment agriculture. So controlled environment agriculture, so it's a rapidly growing industry. So it from hydroponics to vertical farms to greenhouse to high tunnels. So these are all part of controlled environment agriculture. So when you talk about controlled environment agriculture, so there are some challenges that need to be addressed. So more specifically, if you talk about controlling the microclimate or the microenvironment of the greenhouses, or maybe the pest or the disease or fertilizer management to improve the production, or sometimes you can name it as the nutrient solution management for the hydroponics. So these are some of the challenges, and also one of the bigger challenge is the labor availability and the cost. So these are the bigger challenges we identify in the controlled environment agriculture. So what my program plan to do is to basically integrate three different aspects of the digital technologies, the artificial intelligence, robotics, and automation to tackle these challenges that are involved in the controlled environment agriculture by developing AI-driven models to predict or monitor the crop status, or to monitor the crop stage or maturity, or developing the sensors, low-cost sensors and the edge computing technologies to remotely monitor and automate the operation, or maybe developing robotic system that can work in the indoor environments. So these are the things which my program plan to do. So I'll just give a quick overview of all these three aspects of my program. So first focus of my program is the AI-driven climate optimization for monitoring and decision making. So some of the projects which I would like to do in this program focus would be the crop scouting, like the crop health monitoring, or disease or pest monitoring, or monitoring the maturity stage of the crop, like when it is ready to harvest, or when you have to wait for some time to harvest a crop, or estimating the biomass or the weight of the crop for the logistic or the packaging, or monitoring these stresses of the crop, abiotic stress or biotic stress of the crop, or the nutrient concentration in the crop. So these are some of the things I would be doing in my program, and then using the big data and data analytics tool and developing some like portable applications, like phone applications, which the grower can use that can help them to make the decision better and quicker. So some of the challenges in this aspect which my program would like to address is the climate control. So what we're planning to do is to use the AI, artificial intelligence and machine learning, and integrate it with the computational fluid dynamics to better understand the velocity profiles in the greenhouses, like when you turn on the fan, how the velocity is changing the temperature within the greenhouses, or changing the temperature profile in the greenhouse, and how we can basically optimize it using the artificial intelligence. And then when you talk about artificial intelligence, so sometimes you have to rely on the camera system, and when you work on the camera system, so you realize that when you take the pictures in the morning time, or in the noon time, or in the afternoon, the color appears to be different. So if you have to detect the early stage of a disease or a pest, so you have to make sure that your illumination conditions are similar. It doesn't matter what time of the day you take the pictures, or whatever the illumination conditions are. So for that, so the thing is, we can use the sensor fusion technique, like we can use some artificial lighting like LEDs to basically make the illumination condition uniform while taking the pictures for that monitoring system. And also the other thing is, like, for example, if you have to detect the disease or a pest on a particular crop, like for example tomatoes, so sometimes it is occluded by the leaves and you cannot see it with the bare eye. So what we are planning to do is to develop a system that can take the images from the multiple angles of the crop so that it can actually see what is happening inside or behind the leaves. So these are the things we're planning to do, and then of course a stress monitoring, because sometimes some of the things are happening in the crop which cannot be seen through the bare eyes. So you have to rely on the other spectrum of the light. You can go in the near infrared or maybe beyond that. So for that, we are planning to develop some sensors that can actually see beyond the visible light range, like above 700 nanometer, to actually detect the heat stress or maybe disease stress, which cannot be seen with the naked eye. So that will be one of the things my program will focus on. And my program will focus on the robotics system, because labor issues are there. So labor availability is declining, and also the cost is increasing. So there are two types of robotic system which my program plan to develop. One is the manipulator type robotic system that has the robotic arm which can perform multiple operations, for example, from harvesting to pruning to maybe spot spraying. So these kind of operations. And secondly, the mobile robotics. For example, if you have to navigate the robot from one section of the greenhouse to the other section. So those are the mobile robots. So it can be of two different types. It could be like going through the rows or maybe moving above the rows, like as you can see on the picture on the right bottom corner. So that kind of robot is moving above the row to perform the spraying operation. And some of the challenges for this focus area I would like to address. The first thing came into mind is the high initial cost, because robots are not cheap to manufacture, so you need to spend a lot of money on that. So how we are planning to deal with this? So we're planning to develop the multi-purpose robotic system that a particular robot can perform multiple operation. Like for example, if you see the picture on the top right corner, so if this is a robotic system, what we can do, we can basically replace this tool and perform multiple operations. We can have the cutter to basically, like prune the branches or prune the leaves, or maybe we can have a gripper to harvest a tomato or a cucumber or whatever the fruiting crop you are growing. So this is how we plan to do this one. And then of course sensor limitation. Once you talk about like camera system, so there are always the challenges for the limitation of the sensor. As I mentioned about the light is always a challenge for the camera system. And the second is the identifying the exact location of that crop. For example, if you have to like target a particular fruit, like like a strawberry or a tomato, so you have to know the exact coordinate for that one. So for that, so what we can do, we're planning to integrate multiple sensors like LiDAR sensor or the 3D camera sensor to identify the exact location, because once you know the exact location, then the robot can actually go and pick that fruit. So, and then of course, when you talk about the indoor robotics, the GPS system cannot work indoor because they are obstructed by the cover of the greenhouse and there is no satellite signals. So we are planning to develop the indoor navigation system that will use the LiDAR sensor. And LiDAR is a very powerful sensor. In fact, modern vehicles, like Tesla, they are also using LiDAR for their autonomous self-driving cars. So that thing we want to integrate into the agriculture environment. And the last focus area for my program will be development of the automation and the edge computing system. So edge computing is basically that you don't have to necessarily be on the spot to do the operation. You can control it remotely. So this is what we're planning to do. Like for example, if you have to turn on or turn off the irrigation automatically, like remotely, so you can do that. And then if you have to control the microclimate, like for example, if you develop the system that has the AI model in it, which can tell you like what should be the fan speed or what should be the shade cloth. Like you have to turn it on and off or open the vents or close the vents. So you don't have to go into the greenhouse to do that. So you can control everything automatically. So that will be the third focus of my program. And some of the challenges are like the first thing is the non-uniform environment condition in the greenhouse. So we first have to determine the optimum locations of the sensor, like what are the true representative of the greenhouse, because not every point of the greenhouse will have the similar conditions. So first we have to determine like what is the optimum sensor location where we can put the sensors and then get the data from there and then use our AI models to predict the change and then change our parameters like airspeed or open the vents or the shade cloth. And the second is the network limitation. When you talk about the remote communication, you have to rely on some kind of network. It could be a cell phone network or it could be internet. And then you have to figure out like what is the effective range for that. So there are some technologies available that has like longer range, but the issue is that they are very high power requirement. So we are planning to develop some low range, it's called LoRaWAN, low range wide area network technologies that can actually communicate up to 5 to 7 kilometers. And then we can also use the 5G technology as well, which is also very powerful. And then one thing, the irrigation is one of the major problem in the Texas environment, in the Texas heat. So you have to like minimize the water requirement or maximize the water use efficiency. So for that, so we're planning to integrate the soil-based sensors and also the camera-based sensor to measure the measure the canopy temperature and also measure the soil moisture level, and then integrate those two things together to see what would be the effective strategy to automate the irrigation system for the greenhouses. So these are the things I would like to do in my program as I just started. So just like the overview of my research program, and I hope I would have much more to show you in the next year. And with this, I conclude my presentation. Thank you very much. And any questions?
Yes. Okay. For those of you online, I apologize that I did not share the screen with you, so you got a chance to see the face of Dr. Azlan during the whole presentation. I have it recorded, so I have this one, and I will send you so you can see the slides.